Wanderers, if you're on the hunt for the new Invoker Archetype, then we've got you covered. My name is Kodiak, this is Legacy Gaming, and today we're diving into the new Remnant 2 DLC and sharing where to find the secret Invoker Archetype item and matching armor set. As a quick reminder, to unlock archetypes in Remnant 2, you first need to find the required item that can be converted to an engram from our friend Wallace back in Ward 13. In the Awakened King DLC, players could unlock the Ritualist, and if you're picking up the game for the first time since the base game, I recommend you check out that video. But today we're talking about the Invoker, and by all accounts, this is a much more interesting secret, and the team did a masterful job hiding it in plain sight. Our first task is to pick up the Invoker's armor, called the Disciple Set. This can be found in the Forgotten Kingdom overworld, the Ancient Canopy, but only after you've lowered the massive stone stairwell you first encounter in the first part of the zone. If you're like Livid or myself, you'll end up looking around for a while trying to find some sort of secret that will lower the staircase, but all you really need to do is progress through the main zones. The correct path will take you down the stone staircase initially. You'll fight through the enemies at the bottom and make your way through the treetop houses until you reach the next zone. You'll need to fight through this entire zone, which will end in a boss fight. If you're playing through your The Forgotten Kingdom one-shot, prepare for a new encounter, something we of course won't be spoiling here. Once you get through that fight, you'll end up in a new part of the Ancient Canopy zone. To your left is Walt, but dead ahead is the lever that you'll need to pull to lower the stone staircase. Go ahead and yank that and watch and wonder as the map transforms in front of your eyes. With the staircase lowered, turn around and take the elevator and make your way to the bottom. When you exit, you'll be able to run across the top of the descended stone staircase, but instead of heading left to the massive ziggurat, go down the stairs and get to the jungle floor. There, you'll find a small door. Make your way through, and once you've stepped on the pressure plates, you might want to freeze, or else you'll be shish kebabbed by a wall of arrows. You'll now have to make your way through the activated traps, but beware, the sand does slow you down. You'll need to time your dodges just right to make it across the room, but if you do, you'll be rewarded with our first prize, the Disciple Armor Set. This is the starting armor set for the Invoker Archetype, and as I guessed before the DLC was released, it is a heavy set of armor that provides burning, shock, and blight resistance. Can I also just say that this is visually one of the coolest armor sets the team has added to the game yet. Not only is it on theme with the DLC, but it incorporates elements of all three Yaesha goddesses, something you might have picked up on with our Invoker Ultimate preview. Anyways, we're not done yet because we still have to unlock the Invoker itself. Now, I have crawled up and down the new Yaesha maps and couldn't find squat until something stood out to me. Something that was actually just a stone's throw away from the very armor set we just picked up. If you notice, two of the arrows in the trap room aren't firing, and as we all know, if something is out of place in Remnant 2, it's most likely tied to a secret. So after poking around a bit, my attention was drawn to these two sand piles. They felt oddly important, and lo and behold, I was right. If you notice, there's a faint magical circle that creates a space just large enough for a body. I thought, sand? Quicksand? So I planted myself, and after waiting about 5 minutes, yes, you heard me right, my character disappeared into the floor, and I woke up in a new room. This is exactly like how we unlock the Alchemist item in Losum, sans the giant mutated rat. In this new secret chamber was the item we have all been hunting for, the old flute. With the item in hand, I headed back to Wallace in Ward 13 to turn our broken musical instrument into the Invoker engram, the Spirit Flute. Thus, the journey is complete, and now you have yourself not only the new Forgotten Kingdom archetype, but also the matching armor set. Look at you go. For those that don't know much about the Invoker, I wanted to give you a quick snapshot about what they bring to the table. The Invoker's prime perk, Visionary, is really unique and the centerpiece of the archetype. This affects your Invoker's skill as well as the skill you choose for your dual archetype. The prime perk also reduces all skill cooldown by 10% whenever you activate a skill. The more you use skills, the quicker you have them back up, which is an important dynamic of the archetype. Finally, if paired with an archetype like the Engineer, Visionary doubles the base ammo of all heavy weapons. The Invoker's trait, Gifted, increases skill duration by up to 30% at level 10. As with all archetypes, once you reach level 10, the trait becomes available even if you're not using that archetype. I do want you to keep in mind that skill duration is optimized for the Invoker, and while there are other archetypes that benefit from longer duration skills, the trait is uniquely suited for the Invoker's kit. Let's also quickly run down the perks before we take a look at the Invoker's skills. Entranced is the archetype's damage perk. At level 10, it increases skill damage by 30%, elemental damage by 15%, and skill and elemental critical chance by 5%. The team perk, Communion, reduces skill cooldown by 1% and heals 2% max health every 3 seconds for allies while an Invoker skill is active. The utility perk, Mind and Body, increases movement speed by 5% and reduces damage by 5% while an Invoker skill is active. Finally, there's the Relic perk, Soothsayer, which extends the duration of an active Invoker skill by 20% of the base duration when a relic is used. Relic use speed is also increased by 25% while an Invoker skill is active. With all of that out of the way, let's talk about the Invoker's skills, because this is where the archetype really starts to come alive. Way of Keula is hands down going to be one of the best offensive skills in the game. When cast, a tidal wave shoots out in a straight line, dealing damage to enemies caught in the path. But it's the secondary effect, a massive rainstorm, that really makes the difference. For a decent stretch of time after the ability is cast, enemies caught in the massive AoE are drenched, reducing their movement speed by 10% and taking periodic lightning strikes that deal thousands of damage, split between all enemies in the rainstorm. The second skill, Way of Merdra, is for those utility players out there that prefer to put their team ahead of their damage. When activated, Way of Merdra heals all allies for 20% of their max health within a short period of time. At the same time, a medium-sized AoE grows outwards from the player that lasts for a decent stretch of time. Any allies inside the AoE will heal a percentage of their max health per second and gain some of their base damage as lifesteal so long as they stay within the zone. Enemies caught within the zone are debuffed with Gloom, which increases all incoming elemental damage by 15%. This is not a show-stopping ability, but if you prefer to play in a team, there's a lot Way of Merdra brings to the table. The final skill, Way of Lydusa, is perfect for players that like to be the primary damage dealers in their group. When activated, all ranged and melee attacks apply Brittle, which increases critical chance by 5% and critical damage by 15%. As you deal damage and kill enemies, you generate Sand Devils, which, when reactivating the ability, you can cast an AoE around the character that deals 100 elemental damage per charge, up to 10 stacks. Unlike the other Invoker skills, which focus primarily on skill damage, Way of Lydusa synergizes better with more weapon-focused builds. The key to utilizing this skill best is to reduce the cooldown as fast as possible, so you can activate another instance of the skill, ideally chaining together uses as close together as possible for maximum impact. So there you have it, you're now set up to find the new Invoker archetype, rock some sweet Disciple armor, and take the fight to Lydusa and her army of living stone constructs. Of course, if you have any questions about how to unlock the Invoker archetype, feel free to leave us a comment down below, and we'll do our best to respond quickly so you can check out the new class for yourself. Of course, if you like our videos and you want more Remnant 2 content in your feeds, do me a solid, hit that thumbs up, and consider subscribing. We've got more content coming your way, so keep it here and don't miss a thing. My name is Kodiak, and from everyone here at Legacy Gaming, thanks for watching, and play on.